listened to my company commander's instructions. I felt a dull sinking feeling inside that comes, I suppose, to all but the bravest. These raids were touch and go for the subaltern who had to lead his men. We crawled over the slippery parapet and through the barbed wire. Fairy lights were going up continuously from the Boche lines, and we had to lie stock still until darkness returned. It was just an ordinary raid, and afterwards I took part in many. The enemy were running out of sap, and we had to find out what they were doing and make ourselves as unpleasant as possible. Above all, we had to obtain identification. We went on through shell holes filled with mud and blood, slipping and stumbling. More than luck than by any doing of mine, we caught the Boche napping, for a wonder. 2 of the watching patrol were killed, and an Unteroffizier and 3 privates captured. It had been quick, silent work with the bayonet, for we dared not use Mills bombs or rifle fire, as the German line was too close. The working party scuttled down the sap as fast as they could run. Haste was everything, and I got my men and the prisoners out and flashed my torch round for a final look. A deep groan, half suppressed, came from the bottom of the trench, and I saw an officer lying huddled up with a bayonet wound in his thigh. I stooped to examine him, and saw a young flaxen-haired giant about my own age, and the blood was pumping from a severed artery. There was not a moment to lose. My party had gone on, and at any moment the Boche would come. I whipped off my lanyard and made a rough tourniquet with the bayonet of a dead German, and applied my field dressing. The officer opened his eyes and muttered, "Danke, Sie." There was a sudden rush of feet and a cry of "Hands up!" I wheeled round and looked into the barrel of an automatic, behind which I could dimly see the grim face of an Unteroffizier. I instantly obeyed the command. The young officer opened his eyes. "No," he said in German. "This English officer stayed behind to bind up my wound. He could easily have got away with his men. You must let him go." The Unteroffizier grunted his disapproval, but lowered his automatic. Iron discipline had taught him obedience. If only his officer would faint, that would be different. "Weggehen," he said savagely, motioning me with his hand. The officer held out his hand feebly, holding a leather case. "Take this," he said in English. "There is my name and address. If ever we should meet after the war, I will show my gratitude. Now go." He was panting hard, and I was not slow to obey him. I leapt over the mound of earth they had thrown up, before they could change their mind, and flung myself down in the darkness. Halfway back I was met by a party sent out to find me, and we had to wait there while the Boche had a strafe at our trenches in reprisal. I duly reported to my company commander, but suppressed all mention of the incident. I felt somehow it looked like swank, and merely said I had been delayed. The vision faded from me, and I stared into the fire, strangely disturbed. Then I walked across to my bag. I have no home, and not even a pied-à-terre where I can leave my gear. I rummaged in the capacious bag, and fetched out a case containing my cheque-book and other documents. Among them was the leather case, which I brought to the fire. It was of fine quality but much worn, and contained 2 miniatures facing each other in colours. One was that of the officer in full-dress uniform, and the other of a very beautiful girl, with the name Elsa written below. There was nothing else, but in faint gold lettering along the top was printed Count Otto von Brunn, Schloss Weinigen, Upper Silesia, in German characters. I gazed intently at the face of the girl. There could be no possible doubt about the likeness. The Elsa of the miniature was the living image of the girl I had seen that night. I had only a few days to spend in Paris, and was then going to London to get another job. I was not in any immediate hurry, for the 5 years in India had put me in funds, and I had no family to worry about. I called on Curtis the next day in his office and took him to déjeuner at the Café de Paris. I risked the banter I knew I should draw upon myself, and asked him for the name of the girl and where she was.